Welcome to Session 4. So far we've looked at single angles and pairs of angles. Now let's see what happens when two straight lines cross each other. The moment they cross, they create four angles, and those four angles follow a beautiful, predictable pattern. Once you learn that pattern, you can find all four angles knowing just one of them. Let's see how vertical and adjacent angles work. Here are two straight lines crossing at a single point, which we call the vertex. Look closely, and you'll count four angles arranged around that crossing. To talk about them easily, we'll number them 1, 2, 3, and 4, going around. Every pair of these angles has a relationship, and there are just two words you need: vertical, for the angles across from each other, and adjacent, for the angles next to each other. First, vertical angles. Vertical angles are the pair sitting directly across from each other at the crossing. Look at angle 1 and angle 3. They're opposite each other, so they're vertical angles. The same goes for angle 2 and angle 4. And here's the key rule, one of the most useful facts in geometry. Vertical angles are always equal to each other. One quick warning about the name. Vertical here means across the vertex. It has nothing to do with up and down. Even a sideways pair across the crossing is called vertical. Next, adjacent angles. Adjacent angles sit right next to each other and share a common side. When two adjacent angles lie together along a straight line, they form something we call a linear pair. And because a straight line measures 180 degrees, a linear pair is always supplementary. The two angles add up to 180. So at our crossing, angle 1 and angle 2 together make a straight line, and they sum to 180. Let's put a number on it and watch the whole picture unfold. Suppose one angle at the crossing is 70 degrees. The angle directly across from it is also 70, because vertical angles are equal. Now what about the neighbors? Each neighbor forms a straight line with our 70-degree angle, so each one is 180 minus 70, which is 110 degrees. So going around the crossing, the four angles are 70, 110, 70, and 110. From a single number, we found all four. Notice the deeper pattern here. At any crossing of two lines, there are really only two different angle measures, and they always add to 180. If one angle is A degrees, then the angle across from it is also A, and both neighboring angles are 180 minus A. That's the entire intersection, described with a single letter. Now let's try an algebra version, the kind that GED loves. Suppose two angles directly across from each other are labeled 5x minus 8 and 3x plus 24. Since they're vertical angles, they must be equal, so we set the expressions equal. 5x minus 8 equals 3x plus 24. Subtract 3x from both sides to get 2x minus 8 equals 24. Add 8 and 2x equals 32. Divide by 2 and x equals 16. Now substitute back. 5 times 16 minus 8 is 72 degrees. So each vertical angle is 72, and each neighbor is 180 minus 72, which is 108 degrees. Here's a picture you've seen 1,000 times. An X-shaped railroad crossing sign. The two arms cross, and the angles opposite each other match exactly. That's why the sign looks so balanced and symmetric. The matching opposite angles are vertical angles at work. Once you know the rule, you'll start spotting it in signs, scissors, and crossings everywhere. Now, the common mistake, so you can steer around it. Students often assume that all four angles at a crossing are equal. But that's only true in one special case, when the lines are perpendicular and every angle is 90. In general, only the vertical, opposite pairs are equal. The neighboring angles are supplementary, adding to 180, not equal. So before you decide, always ask one question. Is this pair across from each other or right next to each other? Across means equal. Next to means they sum to 180. Let's check your understanding. Two lines cross, and one angle is 70 degrees. What is the angle directly across from it? Directly across means these are vertical angles, and vertical angles are equal. So the opposite angle is also 70 degrees. Let's recap. When two lines cross, vertical angles, the ones directly across from each other, are equal. Adjacent angles that sit on a straight line form a linear pair, and they're supplementary. adding to 180. Because of these two facts, finding just one angle lets you find every angle at that crossing. Across is equal, next to is 180. Excellent work on session 4. You can now solve an entire intersection at a glance, even when the angles are written with variables. Next time, we'll add a second line to the picture and explore one of the GED's favorite topics, parallel lines cut by a transversal. See you there.